Goodness, my wife has just made a fresh batch of sourdough bread, and holy moly, it's probably the best she's made yet. All right, we're here under fairy lights. I've got them on. I've got Mushu, my big black Labrador, standing right here as well. He is so excited to sit down and learn all about the budget equation. If it's something that I have a strong bond with my dog about, it's about our money. So he's getting more and more effective with how he manages his money and exactly what he's putting it towards. And he is stockpiling a significant amount of bones and broken tennis balls at the moment. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you stick to this, you too can acquire your own bone inventory. So I'm just going to kick that ball out of the way. Hopefully it doesn't knock the camera over. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so in the first episode I made on allocation of your income, I brushed over the budgeting equation. And so the reason I did that was to the point wasn't necessarily the equation. The point was just to show you how you can get active with allocating your income. But I'm going to go now into that equation a bit more extensively, and this is going to be what I would call a more passive approach as opposed to the active approach, which is the one I was showing you in that first video. Now, don't forget the point of applying this kind of structure or template to every paycheck as regards each expense is so that you can comfortably hit that bill and pay that bill once it comes due, or hit that financial target once the time limit you've set yourself comes due. The money's there that you can pay for it. So the whole point, whether it's a passive approach or an active approach, is to be able to pay the bill or hit the target when that time comes. Okay, so this is a passive approach. So there's 3 different scenarios that I'm going to go through, which is pretty much all the scenarios that you might come across when it comes to this way of doing it. So what we've got with the first one is, I'll just call it the general approach. So this is when you're just breaking down each paycheck, each paycheck, and setting aside a small portion for each expense, and you're just setting that, and it's pretty much the same number that you're allocating from each paycheck for each expense, all right, week over week. So what does that look like? I don't want to talk too abstractly. What it looks like, we've got the cockatoos actually, they're all around as well. I think they're starting to get up and flock because they've heard I'm out the back here now. So you've got an expense. We'll just go hypothetically. We're going to run a hypothetical here just to illustrate. I'll run with rent again, because rent's just such an easy one. Actually, let's get exciting here. I'll use a blue textile. I got different colored whiteboard markers now. The power of budgeting. Look what I was able to allocate for. Okay, let's go rent. Okay. And now we've got the expense. What is the total amount? When you pay the bill, what's the amount that's going to come out of the account? Hypothetically. Now I know rent's probably pretty expensive wherever you are at this point, but let's just say $1,600. I know even for me in my little townhouse, that's laughable. But anyway, let's say for this example, the total amount is $1,600 for that bill. Frequency, now this is the pay cycle, the billing cycle. What is the time frame, okay? Is it a weekly bill? Is it a fortnightly bill? Is it a monthly bill? Is it an annual bill, okay? So determine what that is. Rent, generally speaking, is a monthly bill. Okay, and so the next one is paychecks. So how many times during this billing period are you going to get paid? So for a month, generally, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but generally you're going to get paid 4 times in a month, okay? If it was a fortnightly bill, you're going to get paid twice. This is if you're getting paid weekly, that is. Sorry, I'll definitely specify that. If you get paid weekly, you're generally going to have 4 paychecks in a 1-month period. You'll have 2 in a fortnight and 52 in an annual, so on. You get the picture. If it's fortnightly, then it'll be 2. So you understand what I'm talking about there. So for this example, we're going to say you have 4 paychecks in that monthly billing cycle. So now the equation, very simple, is number 2, which is the amount divided by the amount of paychecks in that billing cycle. And so that's going to give you the average budget. And so I'm just going to add that in over here. You got 1,600 divided by 4 is going to give you $400. And so this is the amount from each pay cycle that you're allocating to this expense. And so the significance of this is once you get that number, you can allocate that, you can project that allocation across pretty much into infinity, right? Unless this bill amount changes, that's the amount that you know, if you just set that amount from each paycheck to put towards that bill's going to be covered. That will accrue over successive weeks. You'll get the $1,600 when that comes due and you'll pay it. No dramas, no concerns, okay? So this is, that's your baseline. That's your average, okay? Now, moving to a different scenario. This is more so if you're already budgeting, if you're already into it, you've already paid the bill and you're already accumulating money. What happens when you start budgeting though? Okay, this is key. So if you've started a budget, you haven't done it before, that bill, all your bills, and some of them might be, but all your bills aren't just going to come due, you know, like your rent isn't necessarily going to be due in 1 month, exactly 1 month from this time period. You know, your car insurance that you pay fortnightly might be due next week, might be due in a couple of days, right? So this isn't exactly going to work because it might be due in 3 weeks. And so you can't, in 3 weeks, if you put aside $400, you might only have accrued $1,200 by the time the bill comes due. That's not enough, right? So you just got to have a slight tweak to the equation. So we're going to start with the scenario in which there's a $0 existing bank balance, okay? So let's say you get bank balances at 0, you just got paid, all right? So what does the equation then become? Okay, so let's fill it out again. So we've got rent is our expense. The amount is still $1,600. But now what we look at is what's the due date? So from where you are right now, when you're starting, what is the due date for this bill? And so I can't really put in, it could be absolutely, depending on what time you're watching this, depending on what your bill is, your own circumstance, it could be any sort of date, right? But the point is, get what that due date is, because then the next question, the next piece of information again is, how many paychecks are you gonna have between now and then? Okay, between now and that bill coming due, how many times is money coming into your account from your employment or whatever? And so that is gonna give you this paycheck number. Let's again, hypothetically, let's say you're going to get paid 3 times between now. Actually, no, I'll make it a little bit less murky. I'll say 2 times. So you're going to get paid twice between now and this bill coming due. And so the equation then becomes the same thing: the amount divided by the paychecks. So 800. So you know that starting from where you are right now, if you want to be able to pay this bill from a more passive approach, that you need to set aside $800 from each paycheck between now and the bill coming due to be able to pay for it, okay? So that's how that works. So the next scenario I wanted to go to is basically the same thing. I'm not sure if Mushu's in camera here. He's really he just loves the camera, doesn't he? He's also dropped a ball at my feet, so that could have something to do with it. The last scenario I wanted to go through is that same thing. You're starting the budget from scratch. You haven't done it before. But this time you have a positive bank balance. So that bank balance positive could be anything from $1 to $10,000, right? Let's just say hypothetically that you have an existing bank balance of $2,000. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. That's $2,000. And so you can determine from that existing bank balance how you want to divide it up amongst your expenses that you're allocating towards. And let's say for rent, you've decided that you want to allocate $1,000 towards it. Actually, let's do $1,200. So of that $2,000, you're going to put $1,200 towards rent. Okay, that's what you've decided. So now that changes this equation again, just a tad bit. Now what you want to look at for this, for the second point, is the total amount of the bill, which is that $1,600 minus that existing allocation. Okay, so it becomes $1,600 minus $1,200. All right, and that's going to give you $400. All right. Date due, again, we'll just roll with the exact same date that I didn't enter up here, but perhaps you have for yourself. And then that's going to give us that 2 paychecks. We're going to get paid twice between now and then. And then the equation is, what is that? That amount, that 400 divided by those 2 paychecks, which is going to give you $200 that you have to allocate from each paycheck for the next 2 paychecks to be able to hit that $1,600 rent bill. So once you might have been able to already garner from this, but once you've paid this bill, once this rent bill's come due, you've got through those 2 paychecks, the bills come out of your account, then you're actually kind of reset onto this general budgeting equation here. Because the bill's already been paid, now you're kind of back to normal. Now the bill is 4 paychecks away, and then you revert back to this top equation. These bottom 2 scenarios are only when you're first starting to budget, okay? Once you've hit the bill and you've paid it successfully, then you're on to this top equation here. And you know that this is the amount that you get to set aside from each paycheck, and you know that if you do that and you don't touch it, you know that you're comfortable, you can set it and forget it, you're gonna be able to hit the bill, okay? So this is all the passive approach, the more passive approach to allocating your income. It's a set and forget type model, and it's a little bit different to what I was advocating for in the first video with actively allocating your income. And I just wanted to put a video out there specifically on these equations, just so that we've covered this base and you can understand exactly what I'm talking about when I just gloss over it basically in future videos. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more content. I'm very excited. I'm very much enjoying delivering like this, and I hope you're getting something out of it. So comment below if you've found any value in this, and if you'd like to add anything for yourself, if you want me to produce any content on more specific topics, let me know. Share it around, subscribe, and thanks for watching.